Recording in progress.
We got it.
Ladies
We're
and
ready.
gentlemen, welcome back to City Boys Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, the bald one, Grayson.
The kind of hairy one, Ethan.
And the scruggly, tired Jacob.
Good intro for this week, guys. We had a pretty strong matchup for City this week against DC United that ended 2-2. A big draw for both teams. Guys, this was an interesting matchup. I definitely have a lot to say about it, but let's start off with a look at the lineups.
Yes, sir. Our boys in City Park, once again, still undefeated through 5 matches. Starting off in net, I think it would take a loss of a leg for him to not play. Roman Berkey still standing on his head, doing a great job in net. Thomas Totland starts at right back. He's got the position locked down. Josh Yarrow filling in for an injured Tim Parker, and a great job at that, scoring a goal. Joaquin Nilsson stays in the team. Nicholas Dyer earns his first start at left back. Left mid, AZ Jackson gets a go once again. Thomas Ostrak still filling in the center of the park for Edu Lovin. Chris Durkin remains in the center, our engine, our workhorse, still in the center of the park. Indy Vasilev on the right side gets an assist this game. Up top, our boys, the dancing duo, Klaus and Adeniran. And Santa Claus delivers a gift this game. Thank you, Mr. Klaus. Subbing on this game, we had a deep bench. We had Pompeu for Indy. We had Markinich for Dyer. Blom came on for AZ. Alm came on for Ostrak. And Thorensen came on finally for Big Sam. And all our subs got a good bit of clock this game. This game went a little long for my liking.
It officially ended in the 105th minute after a supposed 10 minutes of stoppage time. But if you can do math, it turned out to be 15 minutes past 90.
Yeah, Rasmus Alm earned himself a yellow card in the 14th minute of stoppage time.
That's
ridiculous.
The guy who timed it, he had 10 minutes of stoppage time announced, 14 and a half minutes of stoppage time given. The ball was in play for only for under 4.5 of the 14.5 extra minutes. Ridiculous stat. Thanks to Jeremiah Simmons for that stat. Shout out, JT.
Yeah, definitely
Simmons.
not why anyone tuned into that game. Not exactly the best advertisement for the MLS, but we scrap away with a point nonetheless.
Jacob, do you want to hit us with that match review? Take a look at some of these goals.
I would gladly. I just ask that all of our viewers and listeners bear with us because this was an action-packed game and there is a lot to break down.
Grab your popcorn.
Popcorn, soda pop, maybe even an ice cream. We're going to be here a minute. First of the action started off with a deflected through ball from Indy up to Big Sam. That was in the 11th minute. Sam took the shot and it was just wide of the post. Following that up directly in the next minute, in the 12th minute, DC had a backwards pass that went to Bono, who for the remainder of this episode is going to be referred to as Bozo. Backward pass to Bozo. He could not handle it. He does not have feet. He was only able to tap it clear out straight to João Klaus, who attempted to chip him from the corner of the 18, but Bozo was fortunate enough to find himself in a place to where he could reach up and knock it down. Following that up, in the 19th minute, we had an attacking corner. An outswinger from Indy went straight to the head of Joshua Yarrow and then straight into the back of the net to give our boys, City SC, the lead 1-0.
Boom.
Directly after that goal in the 20th minute, straight from kickoff, DC was able to find Jared Stroud, who whipped in across to the head of Benteke. Benteke headed it on goal, forcing Berkey to make yet another fantastic save. Saved it, flicked off the crossbar. Our defense was caught lacking, and Di Pietro was the first to the ball, and he tapped it in.
Man, it's really I mean, is anyone else noticing a pattern? I mean, we score a goal, and then the other team scores a goal. I don't know how we stop it. I'm very fortunate not to be in that position, but it's definitely something that is going to have to change.
As soon as we score a goal, we just get caught just ball watching just not focused, not moving. We understand that we're up in the game. That doesn't mean we're done. Doesn't mean game's over. I mean, St. Louis City should know this by now. How many times we've battled back in the last couple minutes of a game, just like we did here. But hey, it would be nice to, I don't know, hold a lead for a while.
It's really frustrating when the announcer of the game, if you were watching on the television, even points out how easy of a goal that it was for DiPietro to tuck in, and that he will literally never have an easier goal scored in the rest of his professional career.
So frustrating,
Anyways,
yeah.
I digress. Okay, moving on. In the 22nd minute, City had another attacking free kick. AZ put in a cross that first found Klaus, who had his shot blocked, and then the ball fell to Nilsson, who had his shot blocked, and eventually it fell to Bozo's hands just before Yarrow was able to get there and put it away. In the 25th minute, another attacking set piece for City. Indy clips it into Nilsson, who heads it back over to Adeniran, who just fizzed his shot wide of the post. In the 36th minute, Toltland put in a cross that finds Deer. Deer crosses back post to Klaus, who knocks it down, back across goal, and on a high bounce, Bono was able to clear wide. In the 38th minute, with 2 direct passes, DC was able to break down our entire team to find Stroud, who was in behind, out wide. Stroud put in a low cross right to Benteke's feet. Benteke slots it in, and we would go down 2-1. A couple minutes after that, they would blow for halftime, and that's how we would end the half, down 2-1. Second half, we jumped to the 53rd minute. Nielsen missed his attempt at a bicycle clearance, giving way to Benteke to run clear in on net. Thank God Josh Yarrow was coming from the side to put in a very clutch block in order to stop an easy on-goal attempt for Christian Benteke.
I have loved Nilsson this season. He has been locked down until this match, which is kind of what we saw from him last season. It's just not a lot of composure. He's taking a lot of risks. We don't need that, Nelson. We need you to just be calm on the ball, make a simple pass back to your keeper, or just clear the ball out. There's no need to reattempt the bicycle kick you did last week, buddy. You said it yourself. You'd never do that again. You did it the next week. Let's cut it. Let's cut it. Only in their box.
So we jump to the 60th minute. Super sub Celio Pompeo's dribbling. He finds the feet of Adeniran, who takes his shot, and it went straight into the hands of Bozo. In the 66th minute, from a nice give and go from Ostrak to Celio, Celio finds himself trying to control a high ball on the corner of their 18. He gets to it first. He gets fouled. He pops up just trying to make a play, and Bozo gets to save. But wait, there's a VAR check for a penalty.
Ooh.
Goes to the box. He doesn't spend much time looking at the replay. He gives a penalty. Thank God he gave a penalty. Our big man, Santa Claus, steps up, slots his first goal of the season in a very calm, cool, and collected PK, tying the game at 2-2. We go to the 77th minute. Again, Celio trying to make something out of nothing, takes a dribble, finds a window to shoot from outside the 18. It gets deflected out for a corner. Fast forward all the way to the 95th minute. Thorson gets put in behind from a Klaus header. All signs were pointing to us getting the win, but Thor wasn't able to find the back of the net as he shot it straight at Bozo. 98th minute, Celio, once again, dribbling down the left flank past 2 guys. He finds the feet of Thor. Thor was able to beat the keeper with the shot, but not the last defender, who was able to boot it away. And then 10 yellows, 10 minutes of time wasting, laying on the ground, real injuries, fake injuries, start, stop. The game ended in the 105th minute, City 2, DC United 2.
What a game. If that seemed like a lot, watch the game for yourselves, guys. That stuff is insane.
Yeah, I mean, take a bow, Jacob, and a deep breath. That was, dude, I'm hearing that recap has me exhausted. The game was kind of a tough watch, especially the second half and the last 20 minutes or so. Just, yeah, chaos to say the least.
The breakdown to me genuinely doesn't do it enough justice of how much we were going forward and were really had our foot on the throats of DC United for 80% of the game, and all we could find with our shots were Bozo's hands.
Yeah, I did. I was just looking at some stats here, offensive stats. I want to get into some defensive stats later, but just from our offense, I mean, we outplayed DC in almost every stat, offensive stat. Um, our XG is almost identical. So I think a 2-2 draw is, I mean, the expected scoreline here. We have a higher XG from set plays. We always seem to be more dangerous from set pieces, and that is also reflected in the XG we have from open play. So our XG from just expected goals, period, is 1.98. Expected goals from open play is 0.73.
Oof.
DC's expected goals is 1.95. Their expected goals from open play is 1.95. Guys, St. Louis has to be more lethal and creative. It's so interesting to see how many shots we're taking. We had 13 shots inside of their box, but ended up with the same amount of goals. So we just got to be more clinical.
It is frustrating, especially when I hear Jacob talk about that Thornton chance at the end of the game. It's one of those where he has got to score. He's in on goal late in the game. It could be the potential dagger, and he puts it on target. He does force a save, which you always got to give him credit for. But yeah, just a more clinical finish was necessary.
Watching it back, I did notice that he just had 1 second of hesitation that let the ball ride just a foot out further in front of him that made him take one more step. If he had just no hesitation, put it bottom left corner, I don't think Bono gets there. I also want to point out if Klaus is on that shot, I think that's a goal every time.
Obviously, we're not privy to what happens inside the locker room throughout the week, but with the run of form that Celio has been on, not starting him at left mid and starting AZ over him at left mid is a miss, in my opinion.
I agree. I agree.
Dear Dyer, however the fuck you want to say his name, he hasn't earned my respect enough yet to learn how to say it right. Didn't have a great game. I would have preferred to see Markinich back there. I thought Yarrow put in a shift. I'm not upset with his performance. Yeah, he got the goal, but defensively, he looked really solid. I think Bradley Carnell is not playing our best players all at the same time. I think he's trying to finick too much with the lineup, trying to force something instead of just playing the guys who are hot right now. I I mean Ostrak, we basically could have been playing with one less man. He was so non-noticeable. Sure, he had the pass that eventually got to AZ for us to get the penalty, but other than that, I can't really think of another moment where Ostrak had a great game. I would have preferred seeing somebody else there. Fuck, Jose Kojima's got a goal this season. Put him in. Why
Yeah.
are we playing Ostrak? Sure, we pay him $3 million a year. He's not worth $3 million a year. Get him the fuck off the field.
So we have Leuven out. He's our best creative midfielder. Our replacement for him this week was Thomas Ostrich. Thomas Ostrich played 72 minutes, had 0 chances created. This is our creative midfielder. This is unacceptable.
I agree. That's something that we pointed out early on this season is that if Edu's not playing, like where are these chances going to come from? And I think so far, Celio obviously has provided a lot of those, and I think that Indy has really stepped up. But yeah, in the center of the park, I don't think that we have filled the loss of Lovin as well as we need to.
Looking back at all of our formations from last season, I actually saw the 4-4-2 getting utilized much more than I had actually remembered. The main thing I noticed that was different about the 4-4-2 that we're running this season compared to last season is we got to see Indiana Vasilev more centrally. He played a lot more in that CM role, paired with Blom or paired with Leuven at times, or even in 4-2-3-1 that used to run. He had some good play in the middle. And I wouldn't mind seeing, if we're not going to have Leuven next match, I wouldn't mind seeing a Vasilev Durkin pairing. We also got to see Blom this week. So there's potential to see a Durkin Blom and Vasilev pairing, or like Jacob mentioned last week, we could see Alm get thrown in the center there. We got to try something new. We're just not creating enough.
I think the last thing that I want to say is just I did not think that I would be so disappointed to see Jared Stroud whipping in an assist at City Park this season. But here we are. Sad,
I mean,
sad time.
kudos to him. He didn't celebrate either of the goals. You could tell he really missed playing here at the end of the game. Went up and talked to a lot of the teammates. The announcers on the television were talking about it, and it sounds like the situation really didn't go Stroud's way when the trade happened. It wasn't like Stroud was disgruntled and needed a new home. It sounded like he really wanted to stay in St. Louis. And granted, at times I do miss him. And with that being said, I'm still happy with the trade. I think Durkin is a level up of a player than Stroud is, but Stroud still has a special place in my heart just for what he did for us in our first season.
As soccer players ourselves, we know how hard it is, how to keep calm after scoring or assisting. It's like a visceral, physical reaction to just smile and enjoy yourself after whipping in a nice pass. But blank face the whole time. Absolutely no joy in this man's body after a pretty solid assist and a decent game from the guy. So much love to Stroud. Uh, Respect, and I hope you have a good season.
A little thing just to add on that. The three of us have all played with each other and against each other at some point in our careers. And it's much lower stakes, obviously, at the club, high school level, and then in college than it is in the fucking professionals. But being on that stage and not showing any emotion after either of those is so huge because I know just from playing the two of you, if my team had won or my team had lost, I had a lot of feelings about either of those results. And to
No
not
doubt.
show any of them from Stroud is big ups to him.
Let's take a look at the standings for this week. With another draw, that puts us on 1 win, 4 draws on the season, still undefeated. So we are one of 5 teams that are still undefeated. We are accompanied by FC Cincinnati, Philadelphia Union,
The
Min-
Philadelphia Union.
Phillies, Minnesota United, and LA Galaxy, our old friends. Thank you guys for kicking Kansas City's ass. Much appreciated.
Yeah, love to see a 2-goal lead go to waste from Sporting Kansas City. Thank you, LA Galaxy.
And so that puts us in 8th place with 7 points. We're actually tied with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other teams. So I mean, 1 point, and we're in 3rd. Look at that. That's absolutely insane. Right in front of us, we got Houston Dynamo. Right behind us, we got Sporting KC. These are not the clubs that I want to associate myself with. City, let's get a dub. Let's get a dub. We got to turn these draws into wins.
The good and the bad about it only being match week 5 is the standings are still close. That's the good thing. The bad is we are in 8th place.
So with that, I think we're gonna pop right into our 3 points. Um, I don't know if this is appropriate, but all our points are starting with D's. So this week it's the Triple D episode. You know what that means. I'm not saying it out loud. My mom watches this show.
Yeah. I think all of our moms watch this show.
Hey, moms.
My mom would probably think it's hilarious.
I've dropped at least 4 MFers since we've started this thing.
18 plus City Boys podcast.
Get out. Anyways, 3 points, guys. Who wants to start it off?
I think it should be Ethan.
The gods
I
have
will.
spoken.
I'll happily start us off, gentlemen, because I get to talk about our whole entire team, and I could not be more excited. Today, my point is depth, and I think that is definitely one of the stronger parts of our team. Josh Yarrow stepped in for an MLS Defender of the Year finalist and earned a Team of the Match day, despite it being on the bench. I think that's noteworthy. Um, We also have Rasmus Alm returning to full health. We have Celio coming off the bench. He's been one of the most electric wingers in the MLS this season. So to be coming off the bench says a lot about our team, despite AZ's not the greatest performance. We also have Njabo Blom returning to full health. So maybe those Thomas Ostrak complaints will go away here soon. We have competition at the left back spot. While I don't disagree that Deere did not have the greatest game at left back, Markinich could easily step in, and he did. So I think that it's a good problem to have if you're Bradley Carnell. On top of that, Kyle Hebert's performing for St. Louis City too. He got his first goal for them this past weekend. I think he could have just as easily as Josh Aro stepped into the center back spot for Tim Parker. So could he. And although I'm not the biggest fan of Jake Nowinski, I am a big fan of second chances, and I'm confident that he could do a job at right back or center back if needed. We also have two MLS draft picks doing pretty well for St. Louis City. Kajima has performed well for the first team and is clocking good reps for City too. I would not be surprised to see him get an extended stay in our midfield, maybe not a start anytime soon, but in the second half of the season, I could foresee that. Brandon McSorley is also getting into the team. Do I think that he'll be taking minutes off Sam Adeniran, João Klaus, or Thornton anytime soon? No, but the option is there. I haven't even mentioned the third center back that's gotten playing time for us. That's not Tim Parker, Nilsson, or Yarrow. Michael Wenzel, the captain for City 2. He's a very solid player. We've seen him perform. So we're still early on in the season, and we've seen a lot of tinkering with the lineup. We haven't seen all that much consistency with it, but I think it does show one strength, which is our depth. I would say one position where we don't necessarily have the most depth, but we're not lacking is our goalkeepers. Christian Oliveras was picked up in the offseason, and I have not seen anything from him, but I know he picked up some clock for City too. And Ben Lunt just became a dad. If I'm Bradley Carno, I am not putting that stress on him. Brother, worry about home. But other than that, I think that City's in a decent spot. We're still undefeated despite only having one win. Not exactly as strong a start as our last season, but we got a deep team. We got good players. It's just a matter of finding the best formation and the best times to put them in.
I don't know. I think now that Lunt is a father, he might be a little bit better with his hands, trying to catch the kids as they're falling off of stuff. He's got the dad reflexes, so maybe
That's if
we'll see an improvement.
that's if he's getting a good night's sleep. I think I think Ethan said it best. Worry about home, brother.
Jacob, didn't you have beef with one of our backup keepers because of Foot Manager?
Yeah, yeah. So I play a little bit of footy manager in my downtime, and actually the beef is with the new dad himself. So
That's what
yeah,
I thought.
worry
That's
about
what I thought.
home, brother. Stay off my field, brother.
Oh my God. Okay. Uh, I want to go next because I want to talk a little bit about the second D from this week. Our, our, our defense, guys. It's our defense. I swear. It's the defense. First and foremost, I want to talk about Josh Yarrow. I wasn't too hot on him. I think I said some mean, hurtful things last week, and I want to walk it back a little bit because he had a great game. He had a fantastic game. Couple stats: was the highest passer in the game with 55 passes and was also the most accurate passer, 87%. That's exactly what I want out of a center back is composure with your passing. Something I noticed this game that juxtaposes our usual style of play is we actually had most of our possession in our own half this week. I think we did attempt to build out of the back a little bit more, which is why Josh Yarrow had such a great game.
He spent some time around the USL, I believe, and I think he's like one of City's first players. He's an OG.
But yeah, I'm glad to see some improvement in his game. He did have to step up because someone who I'm very hype on, Joachim Nilsson, did not have a great game. He did earn a 7.1 on FootMob, which is respectable. Created more chances than Ostrich. Are you joking? How's that possible? He had 2 chances created. What the hell? He had a decent game. Totland, another solid performance. He was the most fouled player in this game. We saw some good technique, some good technical play from him down the right wing, good overlapping play with Vasilev. And we saw a couple times that he does look dangerous. I definitely expect to see a couple more assists from him and maybe a couple goals. We'll see. He definitely deserves his love. And then Nicholas Dyer, definitely did not have the best game of his life. He got a 5.7 on foot mob. Much better as a sub against LA last week. I just think we need to be making better decisions. We can't be ball watching. All of our defenders are watching the ball. Meanwhile, we have Jared Stroud slowly creeping in behind Dyer. So many times we saw last week against LA, and this week our left backs just getting torn apart.
Yeah, I think this is the third of 5 games where we have immediately given up a goal directly after scoring a goal. And on the replays on all 3 of those goals, you see every single person on defense looking around with their hands up, wondering whose guy it was. And it's like, it doesn't matter whose fucking guy it was. Get to the goddamn ball. Boot that fucker into the second deck. I don't give a fuck, but it doesn't need to be in our net.
Dude, yeah, seriously. It's frustrating to hear like the commentators say that they're not even done announcing Josh Yaro's goal and DiPietro's tapping it in. Literally tapping it in right in front of the goal line, the easiest goal he's ever scored.
I know that Roman Berkey is a handsome guy, and I know his saves are really beautiful, but you can't just sit there and watch it happen. You gotta act.
Something I didn't even mention in my depth conversation was Akil Watts as well. I know that Thomas Totland pretty much has the right back spot on lock, but we have more defensive options. I would be curious to see if he could put in a shift at left back. Just they do have to find the right combo though.
Jacob, how about you give us that third D?
Gladly, I will gladly give you the third D. My D for this week is dark arts. For some of you who are more of a casual fan that haven't been watching soccer as long as we've been watching soccer, the dark arts of soccer are always going to exist, and leagues have been trying to attempt to mitigate dark arts of soccer for a long time, but they're always going to be there. Now, what do I mean by dark arts? Dark arts are time wasting. Not exactly, not exactly, but dark arts, time wasting. Trying to get a couple extra yards on a free kick while the referee's not looking. You might scoot the ball forward a little bit, knowing exactly where the ball went out of the bounds for a throw in, and you might take a couple extra steps forward. When you commit a foul, you might pick the ball up and walk away with it a couple yards, give your team a couple more seconds to get back on defense. Maybe even stepping in front of the ball before they take a free kick just to slow them down. There's a lot of ways that you can use the game to your advantage, and we saw DC United use it to their advantage basically since the start of the second half. Once they realized that they probably weren't going to get out of St. Louis with a W, in like the 60th minute, you started seeing people go to ground. There were injuries. Now, I'm sure some of them were legit. The guys who got subbed off for being injured, wish you a speedy recovery. But it was like, what, 8 minutes that their goalie laid on the ground with what looked like to be a hamstring injury. And then he popped up and he kicked the ball 80 yards directly after that. I know that pain relief spray is really good, but it ain't that good, bro. It doesn't just mend your hamstring back together. So, yeah, that's my point. Dark arts. In this game, it fucked us, but we also use it to our advantage. So it's kind of hard to complain that much. I remember multiple games last year where, granted, Berkey wasn't nearly as obvious as Bozo was, but I've definitely watched Berkey lay on the ground just to kill off a couple extra seconds of clock.
DC United, you've earned the opposite of a fan. You've earned a lifetime enemy.
Yeah, there's low key a rivalry brewing between DC United and STL. Maybe it's just a similar style of play because we're not in the same conference. But yeah, I think the best example of DC United using the dark arts is Pirani's yellow card. He kind of picks a ball up on a foul and just turns and is acting oblivious to play stopping, but he knows what he's doing. He's just buying his team a few seconds, and I think Rasmus Holm's reaction really showcases that. And I also want to say that I don't really blame DC for using it to their advantage. I think that any competitive or even good team will. Just in this game, and as a City fan, it's so frustrating to watch. There was just hardly a soccer game really in the second half. I mean, just not much to see, a lot of chaos and not enjoyable. I mean, Bradley Carnell apologized to the fans to start off his post-match press conference. So that says all it needs to.
I mean, the 4.5 minutes of ball in play in 15 minutes of stoppage time. There's 10 minutes of bullshit, dark arts happening.
That's pathetic.
Yeah, it does suck. We won't see them again until next season, if we even get them on the schedule for next season. I think schedule makers would be remiss if they didn't put us up against DC United. I'm sure I don't know what the viewing numbers were, but it was a fun game to watch right up until stoppage time.
Yeah, they are like a cool team. DC United, one of the most successful teams in MLS history. I mean, they got some cool players. Benteke is a sick player. Premier League experience, spent a lot of time at Crystal Palace, and I think he played at Liverpool for a while too. So, and I mean, I think he got man of the match with an
He did win man of the
8.6.
match.
I mean, he had a great game. He's an exciting player to watch. So, I mean, when DC United is not playing against us, so I'll gladly watch them. Wouldn't mind seeing Stroud play a little bit more.
Couple last things that I want to say. The first one is giving Josh Yarrow his props for giving Benteke a hard time. I think that Yarrow had just a really great performance, and to go up against the caliber of player that Benteke is, he stood his own. And the last thing that I want to say is just a huge shout out to Chris Durkin's work rate. I think he ran like 6.6 miles by the 80th minute. So that is, I challenge anyone watching this to go run 6.5 miles in 90 minutes, because that is an incredibly insane physical feat. And he happens to be playing soccer while doing that. Just keep that in mind. He's been immense, and I love to watch him.
Especially against his former team. I love to see him talking shit against his former teammates the whole time, uh, telling them to get off the ground after just putting them down there himself. Gotta love it. Okay, guys, let's take
Starting
a
over
look
still.
at our matchup next week. We've got an exciting one and a familiar face. It's Real Salt Lake. I
Boo.
I am honestly I'm excited to see this team again. I just wish that we were in a better run of form because I would love to add to this team. First game of the season, replay. I was there for the first match and it was a slow burn. It was a slow burn of a game. I think hopefully we'll have a little bit more action this week. I want to see how let's see. Real Salt Lake they have 2 wins on the season, 2 losses on the season. They are tied with us on points. They got their second win last week against Vancouver Whitecaps.
Yeah, first of all, I think this game has kind of serious Western Conference implications at this point. The Real Salt Lake are not scrubs. They are not a bad team. They have good players in good positions. And in my opinion, their most dangerous player is Diego Luna. He looked extremely dangerous for them in our first matchup. And since that matchup, our defense and midfield have taken some serious injuries. So I'm a little weary for him, but yeah, and as well as them being on a good run of form, and at home. I do wish that we were playing them on a better run of form too.
Dude, they've got some ballers on their team. Christian Orongo, Demir Krylov scored last weekend against his former club. Diego Luna, like you mentioned. We, as a podcast, underestimated them the last time that we played them.
Mm.
And we're going to be high on City going forward for most upcoming matches, but for this specific one, our run of form's bad. We're tying everybody. I don't predict really anything different. If anything, we might even see our first loss of the season, which sucks to say. We're out Lowen, we're out Parker. We don't know what our situation is at the left back position. Our strikers aren't really giving us anything. If we get out of there with a tie, I think that's a victory for us. I'll predict another boring ass 2-2 draw. And I'm gonna go different again. Almost scored last week. I got really excited, but he didn't. So I'm gonna say, I haven't picked him yet this year. You guys have. I'm gonna pick Indiana Vasilev to get on the score sheet.
Good boy. He deserves it. Ethan?
Tough call because yeah, Jacob, I honestly don't hate that prediction, especially to be a little less biased, but fuck that, I'm biased. City victory. Grayson, a point that you made last week that I really like is City kind of scraping out a 1-0 victory. And that's my prediction this week. I think the goal is going to come from somewhere it hasn't yet this season. And for me, that's going to be Chris Durkin. I think that Chris Durkin will reward all of his hard work this season with, I'm going to say, a goal from just outside the 18-yard box.
Okay. Okay. I'm a little disappointed that Durkin didn't score 2 last week like I predicted. Big bummer, dude. What are you doing?
Yeah, if he did, our podcast episode could have been 5 Ds.
Double Durkin. Double D's. Double D.
Durkin doubles DC, dark arts, defense, and depth.
Yeah. It's a lot of D. It's a lot of D. Heard that before.
That's at least 6 Ds.
All right. Let me get back on track here. Yeah, this one versus Real Salt Lake is definitely gonna be an interesting one. It's gonna be a tough game. Prediction. I don't think we're losing this one. Salt Lake was dangerous last game, or the first game we played them. I think we're a different team than we were then. I think we get an even more boring of a game than Jacob said. I think we get a 1-1 draw. Not happy saying that out loud. Really not. But I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. The only good positive I'm going to have to take out of this is that Klaus gets his second of the season and keeps his streak going on. So.
And also, we don't say all this we don't say this not wanting City to win. I think we have all the capabilities of winning this game. It's just the way we've looked in the last couple weeks that don't give us a whole lot of hope that we could get out of Real Salt Lake with 3 points.
I mean, really, what I want to see is a replay of last season's first matchup against Real Salt Lake, which ended 4-0. I would love to see that again. Where's that high scoring City at? I would love to see like a blowout game for City. Just put 3 or 4 past somebody. We did that so many times last season where we would just pop off for like 6 goals. We had 6 goals against Austin FC last season. Where's that at? We have so much more potency and potential in our attack that we haven't been seeing this season, but we all know it's there. Maybe it's Keeling, maybe it's Leuven, maybe, once we get him working in the squad again, we'll start to see that click off. But I really just want to see a high-scoring game, a formation change, AZ as a sub. What else?
Celio needs to start.
Celio starting. He has barely set a foot wrong this season. There's no reason he should be off the field unless he's, dealing with some fitness issues. But yeah, no reason for him to be off the field.
Berkey, Durkin, and Celio have been our best players this year.
Maybe give Totland a nod,
Oh, for
maybe,
sure.
but he hasn't produced enough just yet. I think that he has shown a lot going forward, but once the assists start rolling, I think that's when.
Yeah. But I don't think there's not too many players on St. Louis City's team right now that I would say I don't want to see in a St. Louis City shirt anymore. A lot of these guys that didn't have great games, I still say have a lot of potential. Thorson had a rough game, two big chances squandered at the end that could have been a dub. He's such a young player. He has a goal in him. We saw it last season. I think he had one or two. I want to see more from the kid. I think he's got potential, but he's nowhere near that starting lineup.
He
Uh,
just looked a little like timid and
nervous,
nervous when it
nervous,
fell to
nervous.
him in that position. So like almost inexperienced, I would say. That's the nice way of putting it, I think. Hopefully as that ball rolls to him late on in the game, as the season goes on, he can finish those chances. We do believe in these guys. It hurts.
That hurts. That hurts.
I mean, I actually low-key disagree with you, Grayson. There are few players in city jerseys that I would sell in a heartbeat. One of those being Thomas Ostrak. Get that money off the books. He's ass. And then the other would be sell AZ while his stock is high because he is not performing for us. And then we take all that open money and all that new money and we go out and we sign somebody with a huge name, maybe potentially a Marco Royce.
I don't hate it. I would really love to see a third DP on the St. Louis team. I know our boy Lutz, he's always looking to Germany for that talent.
Yeah, Lutz, if you're looking for some assistant GMs, I know three guys who would fill that role perfectly.
Man, I've been just grinding the manager career so much in FIFA that my negotiation skills are like up there. Okay, I think that we can get a good 3.5 for AZ. All right,
All
Didn't
right.
you put a $1 sell on clause for one of your players?
we don't need to. That season ended, okay, because I got sacked immediately after that.
That will bring us to a reoccurring segment. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for KIT KLASH. Ding, ding, ding. Since we already rated St. Louis City's home kits, we know them, we love them, perfect 10. We're going to rate both of DC United's kits. We got the DC United home kits. They've got kind of a wavy little pattern in the middle and some bright red Adidas stripes on the shoulders. Doesn't really do it for me. I mean, it's classic black. It's fine. Mediocre. I'll give it like a 5. Nothing special. As for the away kit, that shit is beautiful. Guys, the DC United away kit we got to see this week is a white kit, and it's kind of hard to tell on TV from above, like when you're watching the full field. But zoomed in, you can tell that there is a lotus blossom tree coming in on the right side of the kit. And it is beautiful. I mean, got a lot of love for the white kits, but also the little pink texture. I gotta show it some love. I think I'm gonna give it an 8.9. That's a solid kit right there.
That's strong.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit higher on the black kits than you are, Grayson. I my whole life have liked a combination of black and red. I think they do well with it here. There's not a ton going on. The two-tone black with the like kind of cross wavy thing looks cool, but it's not too crazy. Nothing like Austin's kit where there was too much going on. Their badge is also sick. Doesn't have nearly as many stars as LA Galaxy, but they still have some championships under their belt, so I will show my respect. I'm gonna give the Black Kits. I'm gonna give the Black Kits a 7. Just straight on the money, 7. They could do more, but they're not bad. And then, yeah, this is a High on White Kits podcast, and we are high on white kits. Their white kits are sick. The cherry blossom, lotus flower, whatever you want to
Is it the
call it.
cherry blossom? It is cherry blossom for sure. Right.
Okay, the cherry blossom.
Cherry blossom.
Cherry
You're
blossom
right. You're right.
The cherry blossom is badass. It's a cool like connecting to like City Connect jerseys in like basketball and baseball. So that's a cool. What am I trying to say? It's a cool fucking something.
Connection? I don't know.
Connect. Yeah, it's a cool connection to the city. Grayson, do me a favor and cut out my brain fart, please.
I'll think about it.
Okay. Yeah, it's a cool connection to the city. Just the slight pink in there on top of the white, and then black accents are black accents. So yeah, I'm gonna give that kid probably an 8. Not as high as the other white kids, but still dope.
Yeah, not to wrap it up with a real original point here. That's a bang average black and red kit. I'm looking at their older kits with the Volkswagen logo and some stripes across the middle. Man, I mean those are real classic, especially with their old kit. If I think that they had the chance to do something really cool, almost like the San Jose Earthquakes did with their kind of throwback. So that's why for me this earns a pretty average 6.8. Their black jersey, not terrible, but not the most noteworthy in my opinion. On the flip side of that coin, the High on White Kids podcast remains the same. Yeah, this for me, the cherry blossoms on the white are it was a strong 9.3 for me. I think that this is just slightly better than the LA Galaxy kit because of its connection to the city. Those cherry blossoms on a kit, I think is really original. I don't think I've ever seen something like a tree go on a jersey before. So yeah, that's why for me, I love it. Also, I thought the numbers, and I just noticed from this kit that the numbers that Adidas has done this year are so good. Adidas hit home runs this season. So props to them. Just make them fucking cheaper. Make our fucking jerseys cheaper.
That's KIT KLASH, and I think the winner for this round goes to the White Kits.
So second place for
Second
this week
place.
goes to the white DC United cherry blossom,
See,
lotus flower,
see,
pink, white.
pink lotus cherry, all that good stuff. Anyways, guys, any final points before we call it an episode? No?
Let me think. Bono the Bozo. Yeah, that was just sad. Overall, thumbs down from 2DC United. Get a hold of yourselves. That's the last thing I have to say.
All right, guys. I think that's going to be the episode. Thanks for coming and sticking around, supporting City, supporting the City Boys. We'll be back next week with another 3 points. See you.